They say history is written by the victors, but in Greek mythology, the victors were born from the blood of their fathers. I'm Nikos, speaking to you from Greece, and today we witness the creation of the world, the rise of the Titans, as well as their defeat by the Olympians in a war that shook the universe itself, the Titanomachy. At the beginning of everything, even before the existence of time and the creation of everything beautiful in our world, there was only chaos. Chaos itself, though, was not only the void, for it also consisted of energy and a mix of the elements that would later form the universe. Somehow, out of chaos emerged the first generation of divine beings. The three primordial deities were known as Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros. Gaia was a goddess who personified Mother Earth, the source of all things beautiful in our world. Characterized by her extreme fertility, she would give birth to mountains, rivers, the deep sea, as well as the most diverse populations of creatures. Below Earth resided Tartarus, who personified the deep abyss even darker than the void that preceded him. Forming the lowest region of the underworld, Tartarus was to become a prison, where anyone who dared to challenge the wrath of the gods would find themselves condemned to an eternity of torment. Last was Eros, a primal force of love and attraction, to which even the most powerful gods were highly vulnerable. It is safe to say that, without Eros, almost nothing would ever be born, serving as the catalyst for existence itself. Not long after, Chaos gave birth to two more divine beings, Erebus, the personification of deep darkness, and his counterpart named Nyx, who, representing the night, was a divine being so frightening she would scare even the most powerful of the gods. Due to Eros, the union of the two led to the birth of even more divine entities, some of which were Ether, the personification of heavenly light, Hemera, his counterpart and the embodiment of the day, Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Thanatos, the god of death. These children were destined to further shape the world and the lives of both mortal beings and gods for ages to come. Gaia, through parthenogenesis, would then continue to give birth to even more divine beings, and thus emerged Uranus, the god of heaven, Urea, representing the mountains, and Pontus, personifying the sea. Out of these newborn children, Uranus was, since his coming into creation, powerful and magnificent, his presence stretching as far as the eye could see. He would very quickly begin reigning over all things. Soon after taking control of the cosmos, Uranus made Gaia his wife. Under the influence of Eros, Uranus and Gaia united. The result of this union was a great number of offspring of tremendous strength. These were three Cyclopes, giant one-eyed beings known for their incredible craftsmanship, the Hecatoncheires, three dreadful creatures each having 100 arms and 50 heads, and lastly a whole new generation of gods, 12 beings who would soon spread their dominion over the world and become known as the Titans. With the second generation of divine entities being born, a strange unworldly phenomenon also occurred. Time itself was born, and nothing would ever be the same again for all living beings in the universe. The celestial god, seeing his powerful offspring, was consumed by fear, as he realized that nothing could stop these children from standing up to him if they so wished, depriving him of his power and reign over the cosmos. Immediately taking action, Uranus threw all his children into Tartarus, back into the very depths of Gaia's womb. The Titans were furious. Soon they began to fight back against Tartarus itself, punching its walls with their enormous strength as they fought to reclaim their freedom. Their act of unprecedented violence caused terrible pain to their mother. Gaia, not being able to withstand the pain, as well as her grief over the imprisonment of her children, became consumed with hatred for Uranus and began to plot against him. She proceeded to craft a sickle made of adamant, and would then seek a champion among her children. Whoever accepted this task would have to dethrone Uranus, ending his reign once and for all. However, the mission to confront the Lord of the Universe would seem too dangerous to almost all of Gaia's children who rejected her request. Cronos, the youngest and most ambitious of the Titans, was the only one who would dare to take the sickle from his mother and perform the seemingly insurmountable task. With her help, Cronos made his way to the heavens, while Gaia carried out the next step of her plan against her husband. She would lie waiting until Nyx, the goddess of the night, embraced the sky, and Uranus descended to lie with his wife. It was at this moment that Cronos struck. With his sickle in hand, the Titan managed a sharp stroke, completely severing his father's testicles. Uranus' cry of pain was heard throughout the universe. His blood was spilled onto the earth while his severed organs were thrown into the deep sea, giving birth to several deities like the nymphs, the giants, and the avenging Furies. The sea foam that gathered around Uranus' discarded genitals led to the rise of another, and perhaps the most beautiful deity of all. Her name was Aphrodite. Cronos returned to Tartarus and freed all of the imprisoned Titans. As the hero who overthrew his tyrant father, Cronos was hailed as the new supreme ruler of the cosmos. He then married his sister Rhea, and a period that would become known as the Golden Age began. However, fearing the power of the rest of his brothers, the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclopes, the Lord of the Titans left them enchained in Tartarus, a decision he would live to regret. Relieved from the terrible pains caused by the Titan's wrath, who would now be free from their eternal torment, Gaia finally reconciled with Uranus. Together, the couple warned their son Cronos of a terrible prophecy. Like his father before him, the Titan Lord was destined to be overthrown by one of his children. Cronos became paranoid. His wife Rhea was already in labor and about to deliver their first child. When the baby was born, the couple realized that their offspring would become a deity even more magnificent than the Titans. The time of a whole new generation of gods was approaching. Their little daughter was to become known as Hestia, one of the most beloved deities in all of Greek mythology. However, Cronos, consumed by fear, immediately grabbed the baby from her mother's hands and swallowed her whole. One by one, Rhea would see her children devoured by her husband. 5 children she brought into the world, yet 5 times she would have her motherly heart crushed by Cronos. Desperate, Rhea could not bear to lose another child and decided to fight back. Upon becoming pregnant for the 6th time, the queen traveled to the island of Crete, away from Cronos, where she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy with incredible power. Her son received the name Zeus. Hidden away in a cave, the boy was left in the care of the local nymphs. They would be the ones to nurse him, feeding him on the milk of the goat Amalthea. The armed Curetes would have the task of guarding the cave so Zeus could grow safe from his father. Whenever the divine baby cried, Curetes would perform a loud warlike dance, clashing their weapons and shields to drown out the sound, preventing Cronos from discovering him. Rhea, upon returning to her husband, already knew of his upcoming request. The paranoid king wanted to consume yet another newborn child. Prepared, the queen wrapped a big stone in a cloak and gave it to Cronos. The Titan, unsuspected of his wife's trickery, received the false child and swallowed the whole stone without blinking. Rhea wept once again, though this time her tears were out of relief. She had just saved her son's life. The years passed and Zeus grew stronger by the day. When he came of age, he had a visit from his cousin, the Titaness Metis. Zeus was amazed by the beauty of the deity, but he soon realized that her true charisma lay elsewhere, as Metis was characterized by her incredible wisdom and cunning. The Titaness informed Zeus about the past tragic events that had transpired in his family, leaving him repulsed by his father's despicable acts. She then gave him a magic potion, advising the young god to disguise himself as a humble cupbearer and sneak into Cronos' palace at the top of Mount Orthris. There he should offer the potion to the Titan, an act that would be the very first step to Zeus' victory against the tyrant. And so, the powerful god set out to overthrow his father and take revenge for the fate of his brothers and sisters. Zeus carried out the plan devised by the cunning Metis to perfection. When he offered the potion to his father, the mighty Cronos would have never believed that anyone would dare to plan something against him. He gulped the potion as if it were a bottle of nectar, but a few seconds later, the tyrant began to feel nauseous. The Titan vomited, and out of his stomach came a rock, the same rock he had mistaken for baby Zeus. What followed were the 5 children he had devoured in the past. Their names were Hestia, Hera, Demeter, Hades, and Poseidon. The 5 gods, already fully grown, joined Zeus, who would lead them in a battle that would echo for ages to come. Zeus guided his brothers and sisters to the top of Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in all of Greece. Having a clear view all over the world, the peak of the mountain was the perfect place for the powerful gods to build their fortress. On the other side, Cronos summoned his nephew, named Atlas, a Titan well known for his great physical strength and endurance, to take command of the Titan army against the rebels. Realizing the Titan's immense strength, Zeus visited Tartarus looking for reinforcements. Upon arriving, the god saw the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclopes, brothers to the Titans. The monsters were consumed by hatred for their siblings, who left them imprisoned after their victory over Uranus. Zeus then released the beasts, and their power would prove decisive in the battle against the Titans. The Cyclopes, who were known as incredible craftsmen, forged 3 weapons of power to offer to the gods. Hades was given the Cup of Invincibility, which, whenever worn, would make the god invincible to all an eye could see. Then Poseidon was gifted with a trident that would give him command over the sea and even the ability to generate the most violent of earthquakes. Finally, their savior, Zeus, was presented the symbol of divine authority and the most powerful weapon of all, a weapon of unimaginable force and speed, the lightning bolt. Following the beasts, the gods of Olympus managed to secure 3 more allies for the war. These were Themis, a Titaness with an unshakable sense of justice and order, as well as Prometheus and Epimetheus, brothers to Atlas, leader of the Titan army. Prometheus was incredibly wise and possessed the gift of foresight, thus, having foreseen the outcome of the war, sided with Zeus along with his brothers so they could be safe in its end. Between the mountains housing the strongholds of the 2 armies, the plains of Thessaly became a relentless battlefield, where the war raged for almost 10 years. The powerful Titans hurled mountains and boulders against their opponents, shaking the very foundations of the earth. Poseidon's trident split the land, summoning earthquakes and floods, while Hades moved unseen, striking fear into the enemy's ranks. The sky burned with Zeus's thunderbolts, turning the night into day as the war escalated. The Hecatoncheires, with her 100 arms, unleashed a barrage of stones that battered the Titan forces, tipping the balance in the Olympians' favor. The once mighty Titans who had ruled for ages began to falter under the onslaught. In a final clash, Zeus and his brothers managed to storm Mount Orthris, shattering the Titans' last defenses. One by one, the defeated Titans fell, leaving Cronos as the last to face Zeus's lightning bolt. The leader of the Olympians gathered all his power to give even more energy to his powerful weapon, dealing a final blow to his father that would end his tyranny once and for all. The victors then cast the surviving Titans into Tartarus, sealing them behind impregnable gates never to escape their torment. The Hecatoncheires, once left in prison by Cronos, were now their jailers, a duty the beasts were most happy to fulfill. Zeus reserved a special punishment for the Titan Atlas, the powerful general of his opponents. He was condemned to bear the weight of the celestial sphere on his shoulders for all eternity. The conquest of the gods of Olympus against Cronos and the Titans had officially ended, and it was made known as the Titanomachy. After their victory, the Olympian gods divided the universe among themselves, ensuring balance in their new reign. The three powerful brothers, Zeus, Poseidon and Hades, drew lots to determine their domains. Zeus, commanding the heavens, became the king of the gods, wielding his mighty thunderbolts as a symbol of his supreme authority. Poseidon claimed the vast seas and oceans, ruling over storms, earthquakes and the creatures of the deep with his mighty trident. Finally, Hades was given the underworld, where he reigned over the dead but also the hidden wealth of the earth. Zeus then married his cousin and faithful ally in the war, the wise Titaness Metis. The fortress of the gods on Mount Olympus was remade as a breathtaking palace. Its walls were made home to the most magnificent deities in the cosmos, who now reigned supreme under the command of Zeus. And thus began the age of the Olympians. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you. It means the world to me to share with you the stories and myths of my homeland. If there's one thing to take from today's tale, let it be this. Even the universe itself had to endure total chaos before it could finally find its balance. And if you enjoyed this video, please stay tuned for the next episode of Greek Mythology. Until next time, take care.